Welcome or welcome back to my channel Read with Kim, and today is one of the most expected videos ever because it is the 10 best books of 2024, the books that I love, and they were like, oh my god, I have to be in this list. So let's start. Position number 10, it is one of my favorite authors. I think it's my favorite author from horror genre, and I am talking about Stephen King and It. This is a chunky book. I also did the review of these books in 2 videos because it took me more time than I was expecting. It's great. We're following those friends who are living in this dairy town that happens a lot of weird things, and it is something or someone that is killing the kids, and when they grew up they come back to this town to try to kill this. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but I know now why this book calls It, and if you want to know why, I recommend to read it. Now, it's not a fast-paced book. It took me more effort than I was expecting. A masterpiece. So this is my number 10 only because it took me some time to get into the story and understand what was happening. It's also pretty descriptive, but the story definitely a masterpiece. 9 of this list is a book that really helped me to understand what was happening or what is happening in another country, because sometimes it's very easy for us to give an opinion as an outsiders, but when we actually read from someone who lived there, who born there, it's completely different story, and I love it. It's my first time that I read a graphic novel, and I cannot love more. And I am talking about Persepolis from Marjane Estrada. This book, it's 2 parts. It's actually 2 books. It's basically when she born, what was happening when she was a little girl, and then when she grew up, and more like I would say like college and university and everything. You are gonna love it. It's completely graphic. It's amazing. The art is incredible. The dialogues are amazing. We understand a lot about what is happening in Iran, and I just love it. I just love it. She was super rebel. She never wanted to follow the rules, and then I love it what happened when she leave the country and start living a different place. And you know, sometimes it happens when you're born in a specific place and then you travel to another country. That confrontation about a different culture, it's really strong and sometimes confuse us. So I really love this book. Definitely is one of the best books of the New York Times that you have to read. So my position number 9, completely amazing. Position number 8, it goes to one of very trendy authors. She has a very unique way to write. I feel like I'm talking about Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover. So I feel like Colleen Hoover has this like, or you love her or you hate her. Like, it's never in between. And it's very I know, I like it. I like the way she writes. Some of her novels are really like but some of them are pretty good. This one that I just recently read, which is Confess. I like the story. I like that is about this like couple and how they met, and also how they write a secret and they put it in this little jar. And it's great because we all have secrets that we not share, and we also have those things that we don't confess to anyone. So it was kind of fun, and it was pretty like, wow, you know. I like the story. It's a very fast pace. It took me no more literally than 6 hours to finish the book. It's not like the best book ever, you're gonna learn a lot and you're gonna start thinking a lot. No, but it's a very entertaining story, and she has like already 2 books that are gonna be a major picture already, and It Ends With Us, which it was a complete success, and I love it. Verity is Coming, and this book was, I also like it. I like it a lot, so that's why I put it on my position number 8, because sometimes you need just something to entertain you, and I like it. At position number 7, it goes again. My favorite author is Stephen King. This book was, whoa, I loved it so much, and definitely it has to be in this list. And I am talking about Fairy Tale from Stephen King. Not super chunky as it, but it still was chunky. I love it because I feel in this book Stephen King really leaves his comfort zone and writes fantasy horror. That's what I think is this book. We are following Charlie, and Rather is a dog. So the relationship between Rather and Charlie, and the way that he's trying to save the dog, because there is a way that the dog can reverse his age and can get younger, because the dog is about to die. And it's a lot of mysterious thing. The end is beautiful, it's perfect. For me, it's like, yes, it has to be in this way. I was really afraid when I was reading the last 50-60 pages, because Stephen King loves, especially horror books, how they end. They end like, always a clinch, always something weird. And this book was a perfect ending for me. It was like, yes. And it's my first time that I read Stephen King, something like this. And I just loved it. I read it so fast. I think it took me like 3-4 days. But I really enjoy it. I really enjoy every single word, every single page. It was perfect. So definitely position number 7. Number 6 is my favorite author in historical fiction. She's so, like, the way she writes, it takes you time. At least me, it takes me time. Every time that I read a book from her, it takes me time to really leave the hangover, because it's very emotional. It is. She writes, wow. And I am talking about Christine Hanna and her new book of this year, which is The Woman. I read a lot of books about her, and every time that I read about her, I cry a lot about her stories, like Nightingale, The Four Wing, like a lot of books. And this one was incredible. We are following this woman who is in Vietnam War, because I think, and she knows, and that's why she did this. And not for me, because she thinks the same, like, the women who are in war deserve also a story. It's always the veteran, it's always the man, the soldier, yes, heroes. What about the nurses? What about all the women who goes there? And this book is divided by 2 parts. I also have a complete review about this book, but super quick. It divides in 2 parts. So the first part is how this woman goes there, everything that she lives there, all the wars, the friendship, everything that happens there. And the second part is when she returns and she faces the reality, her normal life that she left behind when she went to the war. So when she comes back, it's like, okay, how do I come back to this reality when I was in war, when I was like seeing killing people, when I was saving lives? And also this is a love story here, that she was living where she was on the war. And when she comes back, she was thinking, okay, I'm going to continue with this love story, but the other person has a different story and has a life, and it's very difficult to face the reality. And it happens. Like, when I was reading this book, I was like, it makes sense. It makes sense when you leave your family and you go there, you create a new life. But when you come back home, there's someone maybe waiting for you, and what happened in the war stays on the war. And that's really sad, but it's very realistic, and I love it so much. Yes, so of course I have to include Christine Hanna, and I love that she wrote another book this year, and definitely my position number 6. Now we are getting into the 5 best books. Oh my god, that's so exciting. So my book number 5, position number 5, it is one classic. It's very hard for me to sometimes put a classics on the best books, because sometimes are pretty kind of hard to understand the classics. This classic was incredible, and I was very, very curious to read the last of the Bronte sisters. I read Emily Bronte, I read Charlotte Bronte. My favorite book is Jane Eyre, definitely. And I was like, I don't think Annie Bronte is gonna be capable to surprise me after all those incredible masterpieces of her sisters. Well, she did. She did surprise me and overcome my expectations and more. And I am talking about the Annie Bronte, the Tenant on Wildfield Hall. Look, just you know how much I love a book depends on how much I highlight. Because when I don't highlight a book, it's like, okay, keep going. But when I really highlight a book, especially the quotes, the information, the characters, it's wow. So this book is wow, and it's definitely really advanced for the time. It's like 118, like 1800. It's crazy. It's the society was completely like macho, and the woman were not even capable or allowed to study or many things, and she was completely advanced. She was living in a complete abused relationship, and she was the wife of this man. She was really young when she met him, and then since the beginning you start seeing very clear the red flags. But at the very end, when she makes like this wrap up, you were like, wow. And I love when it talks about values. It talks about how you are going to make decisions based on what you believe is right, no matter what. So this book is it's really taking a very special place in my heart, in my memories, forever. And Annie Bronte is the same as the other sisters. Like, I feel at this point she's amazing. Number 5. Number 40 goes with my favorite fantasy author ever, and I am talking about Brandon Sanderson. That I found him, and now I'm just obsessed with every single thing that he writes. And I read this book, which I'm very surprised that this book is not really like high, because it's very good. It's very good. And I am talking about Warbreaker. We are following these two sisters that they have powers, and one of them, they have to get married with this king in order to do not have a war. So she marries, and then she finds out that this prince is not what she thought he was. He's actually a good person, and it's a secret there. I'm not gonna spoil her. Amazing. I love it. I think this was my second book that I read from Brandon Sanderson, and it's one of my favorites already. Like, it has to be more publicity because it's great. Like, this book is just amazing. Definitely 5 stars. And it's very hard for me now talking about the 5 books. I was like, this, that. Honestly, incredible, amazing, 5 stars. Position number 4. Now we're gonna talk the position number 3. The book. Now, position number 3 is also released this year, and I love it. It's, I don't know, it could be like a historical fiction with fantasy magic elements. I never read anything before from this author. This is my first time, and I was completely in love with her. This story was wow. And I am talking about White War for Emilia Hart. Very good book. Very good book. It's amazing because she combines 3 different point of view of 3 different women living in completely different year. And I'm talking about literally 800, 1960s, and 2000. So it's the completely different generations. They are a family, because you have to really understand how they can become a family, but at the same time, it's so hard for me to explain it. But it's this abusive relationship, but at the same time, how the woman depend of how the society was in the time, defend and believe, and this is sisterhood, this magic, and this feminism, so elegant and real. And I am not talking about attacking men or being like super independent. No, I am talking about real values, real how to live a toxic something that is hurting you, and believing in your past, and you have that force because the other woman will fight from you from the past. So it's just when you know the story repeats over and over and over until you're like, I get it. And I feel a woman will be fighting so much for our rights, for have a voice, for, you know, we are equal in many things. And I just love it. I just love it so much. Once again, I love this book, especially because the characters were really advanced for the time they were in this book. It's wow, this is one of my favorite books also ever. Incredible. It also has magic elements because one of the girls was like a witch, and apparently they will have this communication with the other generation. So definitely 5 stars. Number 3. The position number 2 is also a book that I think is a movie. It's completely bizarre. It took me out of my comfort zone. I hate the characters so much. The story, I was like, what the hell am I reading? But it made me open my mind. It made me open my mind, and that's why I loved it so much. It took the author 8 years to write this story, and it took me over a week and a half maximum to finish it, because I couldn't put this book down. And I am talking about The Secret History from Donna Tartt. This book is, and my edition is really very small. It's over 700 pages, but this story is so bizarre, it's so weird, it's horror and thriller, and these kids, well, not kids, like I would say like college teenagers, they want to study in this. Actually, they're not one, they are part of this exclusive classic Greek class, and one of them is new, so he wants to belong to this class. And in order to belong to this class with this weird professor that he's kind of like very like possessive, like you cannot take other classes but my class, so he has to give up other classes in order to belong to this group. And they have this secret society, and they're starting like acting weird, and the story really opens when one of them were killed by the others. Like, and in adult, and the crazy thing is, they justify the murder. Like, in some point I was like, I don't want them dead caught. I don't want them dead caught because they killed this kid. And at the same time, like, what am I saying? What am I thinking? Like, they're killers. Like, what the hell, right? So it's a lot. It's a lot about drugs, about mental health, about issues the teenagers experiment. It's a very dark book, but I love it, and it has to be in position number 2. Not because of the values, not because of like it teaches you something, it's just because the way that Donna Tartt wrote, and also the story, and also how it justified everything in the brain. It's just incredible, so dark, like dark academia. Dark academia is a genre when it involves school, secret society, all that dark thing. Well, you're gonna find it here. Definitely 5 stars, and it's very good dark book and weird. And the position number 1 is a series that I didn't bring all the books because they're on my shelf, but I have the main one, which is the number 1, and it has to be, I mean, fantasy is one of my favorite genres ever, and it has to be my favorite author, which is again Brandon Sanderson, and I am talking about Mistborn. And Mistborn was the book I discovered Brandon Sanderson, and this was amazing. It's 3 books. The first part and the second part of Mistborn is 4 books, so it's in total 4, 5, 6, 7 books. Now part 1 completely ends, and the part 2, it's different story, but it has some elements from the first one. And we are following Bean, we're following Kessler, we're following Ellen, and the second part we're following Wayne, we're following Wax, we're following Morassi. It's amazing. It's this thief who want to protect their city, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. We see the love ruler here, and I did a bunch of videos about Mistborn, so I'm not going to talk about, because when I talk about Brandon Sanderson and Mistborn, I can't talk forever. Like, you're gonna be like, okay, I've been listening this woman for the past 3 days and she keeps talking about Brandon Sanderson and Mistborn. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna invite you to read my other reviews. Book number 1, favorite book, favorite author, 5 stars. And this is not new, but this is the most popular for a reason. And yes, I love it. Brandon Sanderson, you are my favorite. I love it. Mistborn, the best book of the year in my opinion, that I read, because this book it was not right this year, but I read this year, and I'm obsessed with Brandon Sanderson. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you. I am extremely happy that everything happens in this channel. We are growing, correct? We are growing in a very unique way of the community of book lovers, and I can wait. More than happy. I'm super happy the way we are getting together in this community. So thank you so much. I want to wish you amazing holidays, and I'm gonna see you next week with a different video. I'm getting ready for my books for the next year already, because I'm already like reading and more and more and more. And yeah, thank you. I'm gonna close my mouth this moment. Bye.